Well, today's episode of the New York Times Daily is a perfect example of why people are getting really fed up with the reporting at the New York Times. And you're seeing a lot of complaints about this online. Today's episode was an interview with one person, a guy named Gregory Bovino, who has been in Border Patrol since the 90s and is now the head of CBP. And he is the man behind a lot of these really horrific enforcement actions. And in the lead up to this interview, they talk about how ICE isn't arresting enough people. They're not going far enough because they're creating like essentially dossiers on people that they want to go pick up, and they're investigating and, doing targeted attacks. But Bovino was brought in by the Trump administration to do a lot of these just like scattershot raids that have been allowed by the Supreme Court, the racial profiling and all of that. But like, for example, the raid in Chicago with the helicopters flying in on top of the building in the middle of the night was orchestrated by Bovino, and he's very proud of that. This guy, the way that he was invited and treated by the New York Times Daily, like literally they're like, "Hi, thank you so much for being here." Just like so sycophantic with this guy, and then never even invited a counter voice to this interview. Like, I don't know, maybe a family that was impacted by one of these raids would have been appropriate. They also didn't even talk about the fact that Bovino was a Border Patrol chief during the family separations in the summer of 2018. I was there. I worked with the moms who had their children ripped out of their arms, and anybody who was in the head of Border Patrol when this was going on is literally evil. This guy is so evil, and the fact that the New York Times invited him on as a sole guest without a counterbalance and didn't even push him hard in the interview, it's so unrespectable. And it was the same thing they did with Tom Homan. I'm just like, New York Times Daily, you are losing it. Just absolutely losing respect from a lot of people right now.